I have decided to write a speech because, like Brandon, I tend to veer off on a tangent and you'll get no useful information. So bear with me. It's going to be a bit boring as I talk because I've written it out, but at the end we can have a proper chat and ask me whatever you want. I'm prepared to answer virtually everything. Okay, so let's get going. Can everyone hear me? Yeah, okay. Right, okay, so what's biohacking? Okay, so for me, biohacking is getting to know my own body so I can eat according to how I thrive. I can exercise exactly how I need to. So mentally, I can survive this ridiculously stressful world that we all live in. I'm a mum of 4, and it's a crazy, crazy lifestyle. I mean, but I started out a few years ago, so I'm going to, you okay? She just fell over. I'm going to just start at the beginning of my story, and slowly you'll see how biohacking has helped me target me being my best self. Okay, so my before and after. Okay, so here on the left, I'm over-medicated. I'm misdiagnosed with bipolar, chronic depression. I've got inflammation, excess water retention caused by leaky gut. I've got old breast implants in, I've got IBS, I've got candida, fatigue, and I've got subsequent depression. I was eating junk food to get over my mum's death, and it wasn't actually working. I felt no better. I had Epstein-Barr virus flare-ups causing me fatigue, cold sores, and weakness in my muscles. Therefore, I had zero motivation to get out of bed, never mind run. Now, the picture on the right is after I implemented all of the following biohacks. And this took approximately 6 months to achieve with minimal cravings or mood swings or slumps. Okay, so let's start with how I got into this. Okay, and most stories starts with desperation. My mum was diagnosed with terminal breast cancer, so I was tested for the BRCA1 gene. This then suddenly became an interest of mine. I started thinking, what other genes have I inherited from my parents that maybe might impact my life? So anyway, we went to Germany, where I'm sorry to say, but I saw a different world of efficiency and forward thinking about health compared to the UK. They were giving targeted medication and again using DNA of the tumor to attack it with bespoke proteins and chemotherapy. They were also extremely stringent on food and used vitamin IVs daily. Thanks to this, my mum did get to meet my number 3 ACER before she passed. So again, this triggered something in me that made me think that the one-size-fits-all approach is not a way for me. On becoming pregnant with number 4, I decided to adopt a more organic and health-conscious way of eating. So no Haagen-Dazs, which only left me feeling unsatisfied and wanting more. I adopted an almost ancestral way of eating, cutting out as much processed food and sugars, which of course used to give me more and more cravings. So what's interesting about my 4th baby, he's now 4, I ate sort of a paleo diet with Jude. I'd lost my mum and I was just sick of being terrified of cancer. So I adopted a paleo lifestyle. Now, he's my 4th child and he's the only one who doesn't crave sweets, who doesn't ask for an ice cream. He doesn't, if we go out for a burger, he'll take the bun away and he'll only eat the meat. So I somehow passed on my gut health in that predicament. When I was pregnant, I believe he inherited a better gut microbiome and my better eating habits. And that is part of a new emerging science called epigenetics, which is just on another level of interesting for me. Okay, so cravings, how did I navigate them? Right. So, but first of all, knowledge is power. So I took a DNA test, and I've done several. LifeCode GX has been brilliant, and with Pippa Campbell's help, who's just sat there, she's been amazing. She's managed to navigate my estrogen overload, which causes cravings during PMT, with a supplement called DIM, which I'm having really good positive effects from. I'm not quite so psychotic. And also, knowing that I carry the PGC1A gene, which means I have an increased risk of weight gain and insulin resistance. So sugar is a big no-no for me. And to avoid sugar cravings, I've found by putting half a teaspoon of this powder, this glutamine powder, under my tongue. It doesn't taste nice, so don't think it's a sugar fix. Basically, you put it under your tongue and it obliterates those cravings. You know that immediate craving when you're wandering around the kitchen thinking, I need something? Do that, and then get out the kitchen. It just gives you that split second to walk away, and eventually your body will learn you don't need it. Also, knowing where your ancestors are from and what their genes thrived on to get them through ice age, famine, and plague, and subsequently get you here, is a fast-track way to get a basic blueprint for your ideal diet. So, for example, I'm 98% Northern European and British. So if I roll back the clock a few hundred years to when survival was physically and mentally tougher, I can see my ancestors would have stayed mentally sharp with oily fish, which provides an abundance of omega-3 fatty acids, and this would have safeguarded against seasonal affective disorder, which I used to get all the time during those long extra months. And eating nose to tail will give them huge nutrition while not actually eating too often, including the organs of wild animals like elk and deer. It's all about maximum nutrition with minimal gut disturbance, which brings me nicely on to the gut. Okay, so the gut-brain axis is real. If you just remember a time when you last heard bad news and immediately your stomach just sinks. And also 90% of the body's feel-good hormone, serotonin, is manufactured in the gut. So by looking after the gut mechanics, you're actually proactively making yourself happier. And how do you know if your gut's okay or not? Well, usually you'll have symptoms like depression and bloating, but you'll be able to target your gut properly. You're going to have to do a rather brutal poo test called a gut microbiome test. I did one with Atlas Biomed. They're really quite simple. I mean, if you've ever changed a nappy, it's nowhere near as brutal as that. And they're around about 100 pounds, and you will find out what you're lacking or what unwelcome guests you might be harboring, like parasites or candida. Okay, hang on. So candida is a yeast, and it is necessary for us to have, but if you get an overgrowth, it can cause all sorts of horrible symptoms like fatigue, weight gain, low sex drive, bad skin, PMT, depression, and the most insatiable cravings for sugar and processed carbs like cakes, crisps, bread, pizza, sweets. This is because yeast has, via the gut-brain axis, actually taken over your thinking, and it's basically asking you to go and get its more of its food source, which is sugar. This, of course, helps it grow, and then the cravings get more and more intense. A regular doctor would probably put you on antidepressants like mine did, but the underlying problem's still there. You're feeding sugar to yeast that's taken over your mind. You're literally brainwashed, and you've got yeast doing your thinking for you, which nobody really wants, I don't think. So I did a post this week. I do Instagram, and that's kind of like the only place where I put everything out. And just so you know, I'm not affiliated with anyone. I don't get paid for it. I just do it because it keeps me on track, and I like chatting to strangers, weirdly enough. So I did a post this week about what supplements to take when battling candida, but the most important thing to do is cut off its food supply, which is sugar. And again, I recommend the glutamine powder under your tongue, and probably increase the amount of good fats in your diet. I drink bulletproof coffee, I have fat bombs, and I have loads of avocado, and it normally gets rid of my cravings pretty quickly. Also, in my Atlas Biomed test, I discovered I was low on lactobacillus and bifidobacterium, excuse my Latin, which means basically I need to increase my intake of kefir. But again, you need to know your specific needs, as too much of this could inflame your gut and cause you bloating. So it's, again, getting specific about what your gut needs, because what I need is totally different to what you need. We've got different ancestors and we've got different lifestyles. One thing I do recommend for everyone, whether celiac or not, is to be wary of gluten. It's inflammatory for everyone. It just depends how much inflammation your body can take. I absolutely think gluten caused my leaky gut, which in turn caused my low immunity, my bloating, stopped me absorbing nutrition. And I definitely think it had a hand in my depression, as my gut wasn't able to manufacture serotonin properly. So I avoid most products with gluten in. Definitely not sour, gluten-free bread, because it's just full of sugar anyway, and it tastes weird. But I do love sourdough bread, which is great as a fermentation process, has broken down the gluten molecule, making it easier for my body to digest without all the abrasive consequences. And I generally go for a white 48-hour fermented bread. You can get them at Gales, or they're actually coming all over the place. They're really handy to have. Right, and fermented food. So basically, all of our ancestors ate fermented food, and I believe they're a cheap way to get probiotics into the diet. I drink kombucha daily, and it actually puts me in a good mood. I don't know whether it's just a subconscious thing, but it's a great alternative for wine, actually, because I've been in recovery for 10 years, so I can't touch wine because things go to shit when that happens. And this Culturella is another really handy probiotic to get. It's not too expensive, but if you can't go out and buy fermented food, just try and get some probiotics down you. It should really help with the depression. Okay, probiotics are good bacteria found in fermented drinks and food and unpasteurized cheese, which I love, and sourdough bread. But in order to make the probiotics grow and reap the benefits, we need a decent fertilizer, and that's where prebiotics come in. Foods such as garlic, onions, gluten-free oats, flax seeds, seaweeds. You can also take FOS, which is a soluble fiber, but do start in small doses as it can give you wind, just through experience. Awful experience. Okay. I find when I was healing the gut, the best products are ancestral. Traditional foods like bone broth really helped. And I also add bovine collagen to my coffees as it's flavorless, you don't notice it, and a tablespoon of colostrum into a daily smoothie. This was definitely the fastest way to heal a leaky gut, stop the bloating and cravings and the depression. But if you're vegan, I know it's a massive industry now. There are some alternative solutions, but how fast they'll act, I don't know. But if anyone has tried the vegan solutions, let me know. I'd be really interested. Right, so, where are we? Yes, so the biggest biohack there is sleep. Not just the recommended 8 hours, it's the quality. So being able to quantify my sleep is a great tool for me to know how active I should be the next day. Right, you can't really see that, but basically I'm wearing a ring here. It's called the Aura Ring, and this tracks my sleep at night, and this is the readout I get. So you can't really see it too well, but here is showing up one night when I had really quite poor quality sleep. Do you know what? I think I'd had an argument or something. And basically my REM and my restlessness was really, you could actually see it. And the next day, obviously, I felt shocking. The next day I was fine, and I even got a little crown. So basically, I'm ready. Okay, so I did use my Apple Watch, but charging it was a hassle, and the EMF coming from the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth can actually interrupt sleep quality. So my new favorite device is this Aura Ring, which I got for Christmas from Matthew and the boys. It's got little sensors on it, which can record heartbeat, temperature, and movement. And this information can then calibrate deep sleep, REM sleep, light sleep, and restlessness. Now, REM sleep is really handy to know, as it's the stage when the body goes into ketosis, which is fat burning mode. So poor quality REM can be the reason you might find it difficult to lose weight. Also, REM sleep gets shorter as we age, so that could be the reason we all find it more difficult to maintain a certain weight as we get older. It's also a time when we dream, and a time when the brain re-energizes, and it's associated with memory consolidation, learning, and creativity. And REM should be between 1 and 1.5 hours of sleep per night. Deep sleep is the most restorative sleep stage for muscles, enabling growth and repair. When you're in a deep sleep, your blood pressure drops too. A healthy adult should aim for 1 and 1.5 hours of deep sleep. My friend who drinks alcohol says if she has as little as 2 glasses of wine, her sleep is affected, and she's noticed she gets 0 deep sleep and feels terrible the next day, and that's not even on a bender, so it's shame. Ways to increase deep sleep and REM, which I find invaluable, are a little bit woo-woo and a little bit out there, but I do know if I don't have a good night's sleep, I'm screwed the next day, so I'm up for anything. Wim Hof is a Dutch guy who's famous for his cold exposure and ice baths, but what he's really useful for is his breathing technique. He's got a free app called the Wim Hof Method, and basically you take 30 deep breaths in and 30 little breaths out. So it's like, you do that 30 times, and I do it while I'm lying down, and you saturate yourself with oxygen. You can actually feel your head getting sort of charged up. And you do that 30 times, and then you hold your breath for as long as you can, maybe over a minute. And then when you can't hold your breath anymore, you take a deep breath in and then hold it for 10 seconds. And you repeat this 3 times. And I swear, it is exactly like a trip. It really is. It really is. And his actual slogan is "Get high on your own supply." And apparently, it does activate DHT in our body, which our brain naturally makes, which is also found in LSD. So, tune in. Right, so by doing this breathing, you actually alkalize the body, which reduces inflammation, lowers stress hormones. Therefore, you can mitigate anxiety simply by following this method. Actually, Wim Hof's wife committed suicide, leaving him and their 4 children due to chronic depression. So after years of research into this condition, he developed this method to help others. It's really worth a Google, actually. He's got some amazing interviews. Actually, there's a really funny one with Russell Brand. Ha-ha. My other favourite device is my £20 spike mat from Amazon. My husband Matthew's a real night owl and is generally up till 2 or 3 in the morning, but after 15 minutes on this mat, he's asleep by 11. So it works. By lying on the little spikes, the skin detects stress and goes into defense mode, moving blood to the area. Once the body realizes death is not actually imminent, it switches to the parasympathetic mode, and then which is also the rest mode, and suddenly you relax and sleep becomes attainable. Make sure you get the one with the pillow because it's really nice. You know, if you've got like a tension headache at the back of your neck, it's like itching a scratch. It's really satisfying. See? And it's a weapon as well. Yeah, I know, I love it. It's like lying on a bed of nails. It's, honestly, buy one. It's great. Yeah, it's good. Right, so what I generally do is I put it on my bed and I lie on it for like 10, 15 minutes at night while I'm watching Netflix. You don't have to be all yogi about it or anything. I mean, I'm watching trash TV while I'm doing this, so it works well for everyone. Right, so this might sound a bit counterintuitive, but try having a cold shower before bed. The body naturally conserves energy when it's cold and it goes sleepy. Also drop the temperature of the room to 18 or 19 degrees C, and this encourages sleep quality. You can buy a cool pad, which is like a small gel mattress, and you can put it in the fridge for a few hours, and then just put it under your bed sheet, and it will keep you really cold for hours. And this may sound really obvious, but make sure your room is blackout. Otherwise, receptors, would you believe, on your skin, not just your eyes, can detect light, which will then disturb your sleep quality. I've got blackout blinds. I also cover the TV light with a sticker. And like even charging your phone can leave a light, so cover that too. If you do have to charge your phone in the bedroom, switch it to airplane mode to reduce the EMF output from Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, which studies have shown to disturb sleep. And as for supplements, I always take magnesium, which relaxes my body and brain, and it stops leg twitching as well if you suffer from that. I also take a precursor to serotonin called 5-HTP, which helps with depression, and you can get both in a nice supplement by Together Health, and I take 3 of those at night without fail. I also take CBD by Apotherm Labs, which is a super high concentrate with 0 THC, so I'm not going to get high, just in case. And actually, I'm taking it more for its anti-inflammatory properties, so I can heal during my sleep, as opposed to a sleep aid. However, I hear lots of insomniacs have got great results with it. I mean, if I'm, say, jet-lagged or I really can't sleep, I'll try melatonin. You can't get it in the UK, but you can get it in Europe. And you can get it online, but I'll take a microdose of 2 milligrams and I'll always get to sleep on it. I just take the drops, I don't take a pill. Also, eating late at night is bad for sleep quality. However, I am guilty of snacking in bed. It's one of my favorite things to do while escaping into yet another Netflix marathon. But I find intermittent fasting easier throughout the daytime, and when I eat late, I still get a pretty good sleep score, so I'm okay with that at the moment. Okay, so exercise. As I said, exercise is like a super personal thing. I always have to quantify it. When I first started, my before picture, I wasn't doing any exercise at all because I was depressed. Then I started doing cold showers. Then I managed to get some sort of motivation to start walking. And I always had to quantify it on my Apple Watch because if it wasn't on there, it didn't happen. And I think we tend to get in competition with ourselves, and it's a really good tool. If you're going to invest in anything, don't get a Rolex, don't get a snazzy watch, just get an Apple Watch. It will tell you more information about yourselves and be far more valuable. I even got my son a second-hand one. It was like 30 quid, and he loves it. All my boys try and outdo each other by competing with how many steps they've done. I think it's one of the best inventions ever. Also, 7,000 steps a day is okay. The 10,000 was made up from somewhere, and I think 7,000 is actually all you need to do. So that should take no time at all. Natural daylight, great for your circadian rhythm, makes you fall asleep at night as soon as if the sun's out, I have sunglasses off and I look at the sun. It sets me up, it gives me energy. I'm not terrified of the sun like we've all been told about. I don't wear SPF. I don't believe in it. I think it's full of toxins. The kids have zinc and that's it. I'm a big fan of HIIT. Drives my dopamine up, which is probably a bad thing. But some people are really into yoga. I can't do yoga. It drives me mad. I can't stretch as far as her. I get really competitive. Everybody looks fab. Everyone's really peaceful. And I'm doing a friggin' shopping list and having a row with myself. Yoga's not for me. So just so you know, I'm not one of these Zen people. I find my relaxation comes in running. But if you can't run, do something else. There are millions of things out there. And also, if you literally can't get out because you're in pain, do Wim Hof. That breathing is an actual cardiovascular exercise. So there's literally no excuse. You can be laying on your back breathing and getting a workout. Right. Okay, so intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting stops the manic cravings by not raising my insulin in the first place. To stop my brain from getting foggy, I have a fatty or a bulletproof coffee. This is a multi-chain triglyceride oil from the coconut called MCT oil for short. You can pick it up in Holland & Barrett or online. The special oil can cross the blood-brain barrier, and because it's instant food for the brain, the results in instant energy for the mind. It also blends with the caffeine and helps transport it more slowly so you don't get any jitters or come down. If you're really caffeine sensitive, and you want a coffee later in the evening, take an L-theanine tablet, which will allow all the caffeine consumption without the jitters or the insomnia. So when I first started having coffee, I couldn't. My DNA says I'm a bad caffeine metabolizer. So I just take L-theanine with it, and you get a cool, calm energy. None of that, it used to make me freak out. It's like a terror come down, horrific. So yeah, I have L-theanine with my coffee, and I love it. One of the major beliefs of intermittent fasting one of the major benefits of intermittent fasting is autophagy, which is where the body literally eats itself. It cleans out any damaged cells and repairs the rest. It can only do this while it's not busy digesting, and the gut's one of the biggest organs and needs time each day to do a spring clean. Constant eating means constant working on digestion and not repairing. I believe this is another reason why I got leaky gut, because I'm picking all the time, non-stop, not even noticing I'm eating a packet of crisps or even an apple, but I'm constantly digesting. I also find if I have lunch, I'm shattered afterwards and I want to sleep due to brain fog. Obviously, so much energy is needed to break down food and move it along the digestive tract. Therefore, the brain takes second place, hence the drowsiness. If I want to relax after a meal, it's usually in the evening, hence my eating window so late. So basically, I kind of eat from 4 o'clock till 10 o'clock at night. And I'll kind of eat whatever I want. And I'll pick off the kids' plates without problem. And I won't have the bloating or the knackered feelings for the rest of the day, and I'll wake up feeling energized. It's so counterintuitive to what we've all been told. It drives me crazy, but this is the best way for me to stay healthy. I also train on an empty stomach. I find I have more energy, I feel lighter, and I don't get a stitch. Most people can run about 15 kilometers on residual energy stored in the body before they need to refuel. So my pre-workout is usually a bulletproof coffee and a couple of Game On tablets by a company called Honor. They contain rhodiola, which help keep my cortisol in check while I'm doing a boot camp or spinning, because obviously cortisol can be too much of it can be a bit counterproductive and can make you retain fat. So it takes about a week to get used to this takes about a week to get used to. And most eating cravings are habitual and can be reworked pretty quickly. So I eat from 4 to 10 p.m. and I break my fast with celery juice, which I make at home, which actually at the beginning it meant I couldn't snack beforehand. So it gave me a mental barrier to help me say no in pret-a-manger when I was picking the kids up from school. Now I tend to break it with bone broth or celery juice. Both have got great mineral content, but I warn you, celery juice might make you go to the loo more. It's pretty brutal. Okay, speaking of the loo, don't be tempted to overhydrate with 2 liters of water a day. You might be flushing out your electrolytes and valuable minerals. And that'll just make you feel brain foggy, crave more food. All of this is about cutting down those cravings. Instead, I filter water using a Berkey water unit, which is right next to my sink. It's about £100, big silver thing, looks ridiculous, but I don't care. And that basically filters out all the chlorine and all the other nasties from our tap water. Then I put it through a hydrogen water jug I got on Amazon just the other day. It's like my new favorite toy. It's ridiculously snazzy. I love it. And basically, it turns the water, our regular tap water into hydrogen water, which is a really, really good antioxidant. My kids have it first thing in the morning as well. If I don't do that, if I've not got time to prat around with water, I'll just get some regular water and I'll put just some Celtic salt in it. That'll give me my minerals, rehydrate me, instead of drinking galleons of Evian. I was listening to a podcast recently saying gel is the most hydrating form of water. So an easy way to do that, like in a cactus or in aloe vera. So an easy way to do it is, and a very cheap, is to get some crushed chia seeds, mix it with water, leave them for a bit to gelify, and just drink that. And that's another really cheap and efficient way to hydrate your cells. Okay, nearly there. Because I sauna regularly, I'm always careful with proper hydration, which brings me on to good stress. The saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, is so true. Right now, I'm clearly under stress, but tomorrow I'll feel stronger mentally, and this is also true for the body. The easiest way to do this is with hot and cold. I generally have an infrared or a normal sauna 3 times a week. It's brilliant for the heart, the skin, and the mind. And studies in Scandinavia show it absolutely does combat heart disease. It actually lifts my mood, as most things that make me sweat do. I don't want to sound, that sounds bad, but if I sweat while I'm exercising, somehow my mood switches. I don't know if it's a self-esteem thing, but I actually do feel better. It also de-bloats me, so if I've eaten something inflammatory or had a bad sleep, I'll notice my stomach goes down after doing half an hour in a sauna. A brilliant protocol is the niacin sauna protocol. This is where I take massive doses of niacin, which is a vitamin B3. You walk for 10 minutes on a treadmill, and it sounds a bit crazy, but you flush up, your whole skin becomes quite red and itchy, and then you sit in a sauna for like 30-odd minutes. What the niacin does, it gets into the fat cells where we store heavy metals and other toxins, and it breaks it down, and sweating's the best way to detox, as it's the skin's biggest organ. It's far more efficient than just excreting it out. So after about 45 to 50 minutes of the sauna, I'll leave and I will take a few activated charcoal tablets, mop up any free radicals left loitering in my body, and that'll eventually go out the loo. This is a brilliant protocol after flying, or just because generally living in London is really polluted. And it was also what the firemen did after 9/11 to get rid of the chemicals that absorbed from that industrial fire, which is interesting. My other extreme is cryotherapy, which is cold immersion. This is great for regulating hormones and weight loss. I was once injured, so I've damaged my leg doing some ridiculous thing with the kids. So I decided to book a week's course of cryotherapy twice a day for 3 minutes at minus 110 degrees. It's not nice, but it is totally doable. And not only did my leg get much better within a couple of days, I lost loads of body fat from around my waist. My period was lighter, and it also gave me a slight endorphin rush similar to runner's high. It's brilliant for getting a good night's sleep, and it's claimed it burns around about 800 calories in 3 minutes. That'd normally take me an hour on a treadmill. Okay, so almost every day I take a 30-second or more cold shower in the morning. It's weird because at night it puts me to sleep, but in the morning it wakes me up. It's like the cold's the original adaptogen protocol. I don't put my head under, as I find I can get the snivels when I do, but I do supplement with zinc in case I'm fighting anything to help my immunity. Having a cold shower in the morning, it actually wakes me up. It challenges me for a few moments, resulting in more endorphins and a feeling of joy. And it's great for circulation, so it's good for the skin, which is a winner. So when I was battling depression, I found my doctor told me to get out more and exercise and meet people, which is a load of bollocks because I couldn't leave my room. But when I did read about cold exposure relieving depression, I did try it, and it was my first step into biohacking and my first step into becoming the truly happy person I am today. Thank you.